And they're off. Good morning, everyone. This is Nancy Novick. This is my new trading plan. I say new because I've made some tweaks to it over the last couple of weeks. And I think that I found the perfect trading plan. I think one thing I want to focus on today is the process and what I do, and the fact that you could make $1,000 in 4 minutes. That's what happened yesterday. And it is possible. And I'm going to show you how. Okay, let's see. I want to change one thing here. Hey, Jason. How are you doing this morning? Okay, that alarm was 9:32, but I have started waiting till 9:35 before I select the call and put strike prices. I trade 0DTE SPX options. I don't look at any other ticker. I trade 0DTE SPX. Okay, I'm getting echo back there. I don't trade any other ticker except SPX. I used to do SPY, and I found that SPX was like SPY on steroids. So I decided that that would be the way to go. Because it's faster, it's quicker, get in and out. Right now I'm changing the image of what this says. It says trading for freedom on the front. And I want it to specifically say SPX made easy, or 0DE. Let me find that. Okay, there it is. I've spent the last 4 years refining this strategy. I've tried every indicator known to man. I have gone through every time frame known to man. And what I have come up with is the culmination, I guess, of just a long journey. And I want to show everyone just how simple and how easy it is to trade options, which is notoriously thought of as something very difficult. And that's because you have things like the iron condors and iron butterflies and straddles, strangles, strudels. You have all this stuff, and really the simplest thing is to just buy calls and puts. I'm not doing any selling, and I'm only buying. And at 9:35 is when I select call and put. Let's go over the steps. The call and put strike prices at the money. Now let me show you how to do that because it's so simple. And you can duplicate my screen by going into the description. And I give step-by-step instructions on how to do that. So once you have duplicated my screen, you will go up here to the symbol table. And this is the call side, the left side. You click options. That was just telling me it's 9:36, which is when I start looking for a trade actively. Type SPX, enter. I do the same thing every day. Nothing changes. I don't go into any sort of scanners, screeners, that kind of thing. I don't do any of that. To me, that's very distracting. I just want one ticker. So I come up here to the first purple bar. This is the option chain. And I just click it. Then I come over here and I go directly across from that, which was 69.25, and I click that. And by the way, I don't know if it was, I think it was maybe Monday. I had a loss, but I came back and waited for my setups and ended up being ahead $1,000. So in this game, the name of the game is patience and also faith. Okay, now one thing I'm going to look for, I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. It's too high. Okay. As if there is a buy signal or doji at 9:30 void trading. Well, I don't have the buy signal because that was distracting me. So I just look if there's a doji at 9:30, and I avoid trading them because it's just very risky. I forgot to change that. So check support and resistance lines, which is the sup-res indicator. Okay, and if we take a look, we can see that the calls, it's just gone right through the overnight high. So this is very bullish. Right here, the puts have gone directly through the overnight low. Same thing. Start looking for a trade at 9:36. We're past that. Let's see. Trade only after the awesome oscillator is below 0 and green. And there is a 5-minute green candle. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Two things I'm looking for now. I'm looking to see that the awesome oscillator is below 0, which in puts it is. And I'm also looking for a green candle. So it's below 0, but we have a red bar. So that just means we've got to wait. Now, if you look at this a minute, yes, it's below 0, but it's changed colors quite a bit. It had green here, then some red, green, red, green, red. That's kind of like if somebody asked you a question and they said, "Is it snowing outside?" And you said, "Yes." But then you said, "No, no, no." Well, wait, yes, yes, no, yes. It's indecision is what that stands for. And indecision is never anything good to trade on. You want to make sure it's very decisive. You know that that trade is going to be profitable. And so what I'm looking at really is high probability trades. I want to know that something is going to win before I even click the button, the buy button. And think of it also like an attorney. When an attorney goes up and they question a witness, they know what the answer is to every one of their questions before they even ask them. So that is similar to trading, is we want to know what the outcome is, what's going to happen before we even click buy. And so with looking at these two right now, nothing looks good. So this would be a case where I'd be waiting. I thought after the president's speech last night that maybe there would be more activity at the beginning of the market, but it doesn't look that way. This looks like we have right now this new ceiling. The overnight high was the first ceiling and it went through there, but now we've got another ceiling that we've got to get past. But if you notice, the AO, we're above zero. And so what this is this stock is stale. And when I say stale, I'm talking about the fact that it's gone on for quite a while, being above zero. And we're at the tippy top here. And so if you take a tennis ball and you get on a ladder and you throw it at the ceiling, it is probably not going to go far. Maybe like a foot. But this is sort of like being at the top of the ladder. The only place it has to do now is to come down. And we already have a little bit of some selling volume right there. So this is one to just look at for a while. Got that, I call it a long-legged doji over on calls up here. That's the only thing I can think of, because usually, actually it's a long-legged spinning top. Spinning tops usually have shorter wicks. But this looks like it's turning into a doji, which means dojis generally, what happens is there's a reversal afterwards. So when you see a doji, which is these long wicks here, and there's an extremely long wick on the first candle. Then we have another pretty long wick on the second one. And I have an expression that I like to say, long wicks are bad picks. I'm going to put that over here because I think that's something to remember. Long wicks are bad picks. And the reason is because of the indecision. And I want to see if I can describe the psychology of the long wick. Oh, excuse me. Long wicks in trading indicate potential trend reversals or price rejection, reflecting a struggle between buyers and sellers during a specific time period. And here it says understanding long wicks. Long wicks, also known as shadows, are a key feature of candlestick charts used in technical analysis. They represent the price movement during a trading period, showing how far the price moved from the open and close. A long wick indicates significant volatility and can provide insights into market sentiment. And a long wick indicates that there was a significant movement in price, but the closing price was near the opening price, suggesting indecision among traders. So that's why I say long wicks are bad picks, because there's just so much volatility. It's interesting to note that the AO did go up a little bit from this level here. So, I mean, it could continue to go up, but I'm not going to have FOMO. I'm not going to have fear of missing out, because I feel confident in my trading strategy. And one thing that can be done to keep from having FOMO is you just know that eventually this is going to come back. And when you have that pullback, which goes down into negative 0 or below 0 of AO, there's a potential to get back in again. So right now, while it's risky, you never want to buy at the high. You always want to buy low, sell high. That's the saying that people have been saying for many years. Some people, ask, well, they've come up to me and said, well, how do you know where to buy? And I just say, well, I buy low and I sell high. But right here, when we have, this is a huge long wick right here. Yes, while it did go up here, I'm still waiting on the signals. So specifically, I want to see the AO below 0 and green, and that there is a 5-minute green candle. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, didn't you use buy signals? You used to have good morning, flower, sunshine. Haven't taken any trades yet. But people probably, who have been on the channel a couple of times, probably will say, well, where are your buy signals? What I learned was the Heikin-Ashi candles, which is what I prefer to look to trade with. Those make it so that the first green after a string of reds is a buy signal, and it's that way all the time. And so I took off the B's and the S's because they were distracting me, I felt like. But let's just take a look. This is what I did. I show labels. I said no. But if I say yes, and there is a buy signal. at that first big green candle there. And it was at the 9:30 mark, and so I usually like to stay away from buy signals at 9:30. So let's go back to where we were. Get rid of that. Let's come see the buy signal here, or what it looks like. Okay, well, see, the first green candle is always, it's always got a buy signal. So I just know that, and I don't want to have that distraction of those. So I still have it going off. So if you're wondering about the sound, I do have the alert sound on. So when you hear the sound of a ringing phone, that means that the buy signal has gone off. And I just like my charts to look clean, so that's why I got rid of those signals on there. But I'm still using them, but they're just not visible because it's always the first green candle. Okay, we have the put still going down. We have the calls still going up. So, yes, I might have some FOMO right now going on, but got to stick with my plan. So until this is met, I'm not doing anything. The other day, I bought something like around, I guess it was like 940, and it just tanked. So in a case like this, you don't know whether it's going to continue to go up like it's doing now, or whether it's going to just reverse and have a red bar here for AO. So we're just sitting tight, we're waiting. While we're sitting tight, I can take any questions if you have any. Like I said, to duplicate my screen, you can go in, and I think that's an older one. Let me, okay. All right. Okay, there is one that's newer than that. Let me look. NBC 9. I'm just checking to see. Okay, so that link in the description is still good. I've been playing with something called the trend label. Let me go here. And also the trend indicator labels, what it's called, and also trend magic. And over on the upper left hand, it tells whether it's an uptrend or downtrend, which you should just know that by looking, really. But I wish that this label for the uptrend was green and the downtrend well, it is red. But I just wish the uptrend label was green. That way you can see the difference. Right now it just looks like two downtrends, unless you look at it carefully. So right now I'm just waiting for a pullback. Let me go and add volume in here. I look at the volume average of a 50-day period. And I like that because when it falls below the average, I like to know that. Okay, we do have a red bar for AO. Okay, let's add that to here. And I said this a little earlier, but all this mess here, it's what it looks like, a hot mess. The AO, the awesome oscillator, should really be more of like the same color. That's the right way to say it. Okay, it says sell calls. Okay. Everybody take a look at this. This is a breakdown of the awesome oscillator. The awesome oscillator is a technical indicator created by Bill Williams in the 1970s that is used to measure momentum. AO calculates the difference between 34-period and 5-period simple moving averages. The simple moving averages that are used are not calculated using closing price, but rather each bar's midpoints. The awesome oscillator is generally used to confirm trends and anticipate possible reversals. Now, if you notice, this is normally how the awesome oscillator looks. It's got the red coming down, going through the zero, and then red coming down. Sort of like starting at the top here, and you could draw a line almost, and it would go straight down. Now, the buy signal is the first green bar. You could enter right here as well after the zero, because a lot of times they will pick up steam after they go through the 0 point. But I call this the trading lifespan, because this is basically let's see, how do I want to put this? The trades that you take will normally follow this process. They will start with the first green bar and then come up to the top of the green bar. At the calls, I would say that this is the end of this trading lifespan. And it's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, usually things kind of shift, change around a little bit. So that's why I have that as alarm on the Thinkorswim. Let's look here. It's kind of like a slingshot. The more that's pulled back, the further it will travel. That's why trading on the first green bar is so important. So if for those of you who know what a slingshot is, if you just pull it back just a little bit, not much, it's just going to drop down on the floor. But if you take that and you pull it way back, it's going to travel far. So that's how to think of the awesome oscillator to get a better idea. And this down here just tells me that we hadn't been able to pull it at all. So we're just in a holding pattern right now. We've got a spinning top going over there on calls. Let me bring back. So I don't like spinning tops. It's indecision. We want to be very decisive in the trades that we make. And that makes them high probability trades. So high probability trades are what I'm after. And that's what I'm looking at right now, trying to make one of those. And I might be sitting here for a little while. I have not taken any trades this morning, though, and it's probably going to be a while. The trend label, which is the upper left-hand corner, they both say downtrend. So even though you see all of this green here, now it's gone red. But even though you see all that it's still in a downtrend. It looks like we have gotten a low of the day in puts, 880. I want to look and see if this is still in the money. Okay, yep, it's in the money. Over a year ago, I had made a presentation on my strategy and on trading options. And this is another slide from that strategy, or from the presentation, sorry. And it says, the awesome first green strategy. While this is like the first green day strategy, the awesome first green strategy focuses on the first green awesome oscillator bar in both the call put and SPY VIX charts. It is the best entry point, and combined with the buy signal is a recipe for success. And so here we see that first. Right. I always come back to that. I was looking back in my trading journals, And I come to find out that that first screen has been there for quite a while as far as what I've been looking at. And I always like find something else and then change, and then I change and change, and I keep changing. But this, I always come back to. So the very fact that I keep coming back to this is telling me that this is something worth keeping and worth staying with. I've got the 5-minute candle up, but let's take a look right now at the 1 minute. Let's go back some. Okay, I start looking at 9:36, so let's go to 9:36. Okay, I would still have not done anything because of the AO being above 0, because that just means it's stale. And nobody likes to eat stale bread. And so nobody should like to trade a stale option. So let's take a look. This does appear like it's gone below 0. The 1 minute has. Okay, just got a buy signal to buy puts. Just don't know what to do with that. Okay, it's at 15. $15.80. Okay, 16. I'm going to take 2. Okay, now. Okay, so the AO below 0 and green, and a 5-minute green candle. Now we're going to set the limit and set the alert for a soft stop. My goal is 1,000. So I'll come up here. 1,020 to allow for any sort of fees that are incurred. Okay, we do have a roadblock here. We've got the overnight low. And so we need to get right back through that. Calls are dropping. So I'm in a trade now. Bought 2 contracts at 16.30. So all right, and I see that my 25% stop is 12.23. So I do a right click, just anywhere on the screen, create alert, and I want to know when it goes to 12.23. Okay, waiting for the price to cross where I purchased. Right now it's right on where I purchased. I do like the way the real body of the second candle has gone beyond the real body of the first. To me, that's always been a positive thing. And now we're just fighting that overnight low roadblock. Hope we get it. We are in an uptrend though, so this is good. The price will fluctuate and go up and down like a roller coaster. This is the frustrating part. Let's see. So we want to see it go past 17. Before we had patience that we were working on, which is waiting for the right setup. That's one of the hardest things because you tend to see something like what happened at the beginning of the trading day on calls and say, oh, I'm getting in that. But you have to be patient for your setup, whatever that is. And so okay, we're just waiting. Sometimes music helps with the wait, and at least it does with me. So I'm going to put some music on.
Paralyzed. Sticky sweet. make you paralyzed.
That part also that we're working on right now is faith. Once you have patience and you've waited for your setup to appear and you've bought your security, then your option, then you have faith. And faith is knowing that something's going to happen, but you don't see it right off. And so I have faith that this setup will pay off. But there's also the wisdom factor of it. Wisdom to know the difference. To know when to, the old Kenny Rogers song, know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away. So wisdom is in there too. But right now we're getting very close to getting above that overnight low. I don't want that. What are you trying to? Okay. Sorry about that.
Make you paralyzed.
So I had said that the low was 17. So we're trying to barrel through the 17. When we get to 17, that's a great thing. So it's barely above, but the real body is above the previous. And that's what we want to see. And we want to see it stay there, and it's not staying there. Maybe you just need some more music. Okay, there's a doji there on puts. I'm going to cancel my limit. I'm going to take a loss. Dojis will signify a change. And I don't know what that change is going to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and get out of it right now. And I have a small loss of 460. So I will enter at a more opportune time. I think probably what I'm going to do now is wait until we have the calls go down till we'll get a first green in the AO on calls. I think that's going to be the best strategy. So be a little bit of waiting on this one, but I think it's worthwhile. When I had mentioned earlier that this was a lot of indecision was in this AO. We've got some greens, reds, greens, red, green, red, green, red. That's like you asking somebody a question and them saying yes, and then no, wait a minute, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So it's very similar to that. So that's just not a place to be at. I think this one is going to continue to go down. If it hits 1223, that was my soft stop of 25% stop. So let's look at where it's going. Another possible entry point would be if this does cross, if the puts cross, AO crosses 0. If the put AO goes above 0, that's bullish, but it already hit the soft stop. So it's good that I got out when I did. So the next possible thing to happen, I believe, is going to be the calls. And so I will get back in it then. Calls seems to be the trend of the day. Someday it's a call day, someday it's a put day. It just depends on what's going on in the news a lot of times. A lot of crazy stuff going on in the news. Right now I have 2 people watching me. And I hate to, but if I can't get more people to like and subscribe and more people watching, I might have to like do this every other day. If anybody has suggestions on how to get people to watch your stream, I'm all for it. I'm just trying to help you guys. Save you guys the money of buying these ridiculously priced courses that you get on various places, from Facebook to YouTube to wherever. And they just, to me, they take advantage of the fact that you want to make money. But if you're giving your money away to these people, and it's not a guarantee, then you could also not only lose money you don't have, but any future money. So I'm trying to help those of you who want to avoid that, because I have found something that has worked for me. And yes, sometimes things don't go like they're supposed to. That's the way it is in the stock market. But for the most part, if you have some rules and you follow them, you're going to be safe. For the most part. G-Mans, you say you understand. You understand about what, all the courses that are out there? Yeah, I need more viewers, that's for sure. I just wish I had a whole lot more people I could be showing this fabulous strategy to. And it all makes sense. It's nothing that's really gonna make you have to go read a bunch of books and everything. It's very simple and it just makes sense. That whole thing about the AO, with it changing colors like this, that shows instability. When you have one solid color, like we have here on calls, solid green up and then solid red, that's stability. If you tried to build a house and you used one layer of bricks, then one layer of wood, then one layer of concrete, the house would not be as stable as it would be if you used all bricks. So that's what the AO, what this looks like to me, is this is all bricks right here because it's all one color. It's kind of like, you know, people changing their minds all the time. But yeah, I think I'll do that. No, I don't really think I will. No, yeah, maybe I will. Changing minds, that's indecision. Indecision is just the death of the what was I thinking of? The lifespan, the trading lifespan. So indecision kills the trading lifespan. I'm going to be very decisive in what we're doing. Okay. Now, I want to show you something. This came up about a week ago, and I noticed. On calls, the AO, we do have a green bar here, but we don't have a green candle. And also, this is likened to the way the slingshot, it didn't go back very far. And so this is probably not going to go very far here. It needs to go down a little bit more. Let me get my little drawing tool. Here it is. Okay. And I don't think it's going to draw all the way down, but maybe it will. We want this to go down. If it doesn't do that, it's just not ready. And even though it says uptrend, the upper left-hand corner, there is a red candle though. So that's just not ready. It's not ready to go. I would rather, this is what I would rather see. I would rather see the red bars go all the way down to about there and then a green bar happen. But this green bar happening, that's just too soon. It's my little doggy Jack. Oh, the pool is wonderful, except even though I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi, it's a little too cold down here to swim right now. But about 3 days ago, it was really warm. And so I thought, okay, I'll just get in. And that was the coldest water. Even though it was warm that day, the water was still cold. But I got in it anyway. And it was wonderful. I've wanted a pool my whole life and just never had the opportunity. But trading has opened up a lot of doors. And so I hope that it opens up doors for you guys too. The only thing is we have a hot tub that's connected to the pool, and we're using propane right now to heat it. And we used 80 gallons of propane, but it didn't even get higher than 85 degrees. And of course, like 100 degrees is really nice. That's where I wanted it. So that was frustrating. We got something we got to deal with that a little later, but anywho, I know it. I can't believe how much it was. It was like a ridiculous amount. Basically, I was using 10 gallons of propane an hour. which I just don't think 10 gallons is a lot to me. And for people say, oh, it just will heat up right away. Well, it didn't. So, but that's something I'm going to have to check on. But I just can't wait for this warm weather. And hopefully spring will get here next month and be able to get in that pool. Okay. Let's look here. The green bar with AO, like magic, it turned red. See, I don't understand. Once something happens, once it paints, then for it to go back and unpaint, I can never understand that. But I'm thinking that this is going to go all the way down to about right there and then pop up. So you're from St. Louis. 73 and 40. Yeah, we're getting some really unusually high temps down here. And we just kind of laugh at the people up north watching everybody crash into each other. It's like crazy. Whatever you do, though, don't give up on your trading. It will happen. Oh, G-Mans. I'm glad you brought that up. I have decided to take away the labels of buy and sell. There's still the signal that goes off, which is like a phone ringing. But they always happened at the first green candle. The buy signal was always there. So there was no really need to do that. Now that's with Heikin-Nashi candles. If you have regular candles, the standard kind, that probably wouldn't happen. But with the signals, what I did was I went in and I changed show labels from yes to no. And I just felt it was too distracting for me to have all those B's and S's around. So I changed it to no. And it's just easier on the eyes. And I did add these on both sides. I did add something called Trend Magic. And that's these lines that you see. Green and red lines. I also added a trend indicator label. And that's where it says downtrend and uptrend. The only thing that I wish, and I tried to change it going into the code, but I was not successful. And I'll show you real quick what I did on the code. Is I added defined global color, uptrend the color green and downtrend the color red. They have both of them here as red, and so I think the uptrend should be in green, and that way you can see it better. Your peripheral vision can see that. And when I did that, it's still the same. It didn't change any. The red was still showing his uptrend. So I guess I need to go in and study some more on code. Because that's something foreign to me. Okay, as far as the puts, it looks like we're kind of waiting for this to come through the overnight low. It's hanging out around there. Well, so if it goes up above 0, that's significant. The calls, we're waiting on this AO to go down, and then the first green bar with a green candle. That's what we're waiting on. So while we're waiting, I'm just going through and answering questions and helping you guys out. So just always know that the first green candle after a string of reds, that's a buy signal. Yeah, I'm always willing to change something if I think that it's going to be better. And it's so funny, I don't think you were here when I talked about this, GMADs, but the first green AO bar, I have been looking at that for years, and I go away from it, look at other things, and then I always come back to it. And so this time around, coming back to it, I'm really want to just be very disciplined and give that strategy a chance. Basically for the last month, I've been on the same strategy. Maybe longer than that, but I took a huge loss about a month and a half ago, I guess it's been. Lost $6,000, and that just caused me to totally rethink everything. And that's when I made the training plan and went through and checked, all my boxes and everything. So I think that as long as you have a loss and you do something, learn from it, go back, do the on-demand feature of Thinkorswim, which enables you to I'm having trouble thinking of words this morning. Darn. Back test. Oh my goodness. Getting older stinks. I'll tell you that right now. Going back, and if you have a loser, you must back test it, because that's the way that you can learn, oh, here's where I did wrong, and I'm not going to do that again. So every single loss that I have ever had, I've gone and back tested it. 1, sometimes 2, maybe even 3 times, just to see where I went wrong and what I could have done different. And so I think the on-demand feature, which this weekend it was not working, I guess they were doing some maintenance on it. I felt just so lost. I didn't have my ability to back test. So that's very important to do. Paper trading also, if you have a new strategy, you never just want to dive right into the new strategy. You want to paper test it first, and that way you can be certain that it works and it does what you want it to do. And through experience, you know to look, and you can recognize what candles are doing and what they mean. And learning the basic candle terminology, I think, is very important, such as dojis and spinning tops and that kind of thing. So I'd get a working knowledge of that. There's all kinds of videos on YouTube about the candlesticks and what they mean. One thing that's important too is I always put my trading plan up the first thing in the morning. Check to see that you have the most current trading plan. I always put a revised date on there. This one says 2/20. And if you have one that's older than that, come and select this. And feel free to do a screen capture and print that out and have it right there at your desk, because that's what I do every day. I do the same thing. Well, yesterday I ended up making $1,000 in 4 minutes. What other profession can you do that? I can't think of any. And today it's taking a little bit longer, but I'm usually in and out of something before lunch. So then you can have the rest of your afternoon to do whatever you want. The downtrend, uptrend G-Mans, I added that after that particular screen save. So if you want to get that, let me come up here. The Trend Magic and Trend Indicator label. See if you can go in up here in the studies and find that. the trend magic are those red and green lines, and then the trend indicator label is the uptrend, downtrend. And I just thought of something. Trying to get the uptrend label to be green. Maybe if I take these two and put them right there. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, well, I just got to investigate that. Because that sure would be easier than looking up every time. And whoever made that, they should have thought about that. Okay, so the one that you probably have G-Man's is probably the 0DTE SPX. Oh man, I need to look up here. 69.30. Not 30 and 69.30. Okay, save it. Okay, so yours probably looks like this. So we will go with that for now. So for tomorrow, I'm going to put that new one up there, and that way, if you don't like something, let me show you, you probably figured this out, but if you don't like something, you can go to the little eyeball, I guess that's what that is, eyeball, and you can click it and it will take it off. So I usually leave a lot of different studies that I use there, so I don't have to go find them every time. And then you can just select on or off with them. Okay. We're waiting right now to see if we can enter a trade. Okay. This one has gotten to a point now where I really believe I'm going to see a green bar. That's what I'd like to see right there. And I'd like to see a green candle too. So that's what I want to see. I'm going to take that off because I don't want to confuse anybody, but that's what I'm watching. What I'm thinking in my mind is, I'm thinking, okay, right now I'm looking and I'm seeing that it's probably going to bounce off of this overnight low and head back up. So if that does happen, I will take a trade. Now I'm at $4.56. Let's move it back up. Oops. Let's move it back up to at the money. Okay. Okay, just got a signal to sell puts. And look at that green bar right there, an awesome oscillator. Now the only other thing I'm waiting for is a green candle. Take your eyes right now and focus them on the active trader right here. Pay attention to where the price is in relation to the bid and the ask. The bid's green, the ask is red. Notice how it just keeps jumping right through there. Because this candle is so bullish, I'm going to go ahead and buy, gosh, I want to buy 2 contracts, but I want there to be a green candle. Look, it pop back down. So just focus your eyes right now on the gray bar, which says 17 right now. And pay attention what direction that is headed. Still waiting on that green candle on calls. The price has kind of gone from 15.30 to 17, kind of back and forth. Let's see, take a look at the trading view chart. I've got Bollinger Bands up, and whenever the bands tighten, that's indicative of a price change. And so here they tightened and it went down, touched this 20-day, tightened again, went up, and now we're getting ready to tighten. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that one. All the while watching the calls to see a green candle. Usually during this time I kind of read headlines, and I have usually muted the CNN and also look at CNBC, and I have it on closed caption so I can read what's going on, but it not disturbed while I'm talking. And right now CNBC, the headline is, let me refresh it, stocks rise, adding to Tuesday's comeback as Nvidia and Oracle shares gain. All right, there's a guy looking at it like 20 monitors with it touching his chin. Ah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Here we go. We're going to buy 2 contracts. Now, did you notice it went directly from green to red? This is so frustrating because, you know, one of my things is to buy with a green candle. So if the candle's green and then it's going green, this is like one of those things that's so frustrating because it's like a Christmas light. And I'm going to go ahead and set my goal for 1020, and I can always change that. I'm going to do a soft stop at, let me put in my numbers here. At 1313. Okay, so there's what I call a soft stop. It's not a hard stop. Hard stop would mean it would just immediately sell it. But this way I kind of get an idea, and it's 25% below the price is where the stop is. So we're watching this red/green candle go back and forth. Right now we are right at the money. And when I say at the money, I'm not talking up here as far as this goes, because it's a little bit off of that. It's a little bit into the money, I guess. But what we're looking at right now is, this is the price that I paid for it, $17.50, and we're just watching it rise now. And it's good to see the price be in between the bid and the ask, but if it does jump ahead, that's a bullish thing, and that's wonderful. Now we have 2 green candles on calls. And I'm just talking to one person. Okay. Jason put free SPX options trading live stream. Ooh, that might help get peeps to view. Got a jam. Cheers. Thank you, Jason. That is fantastic. I will definitely do that. Because there's not much out there that's free. They'll get you hooked in and get you looking at something and see a couple of P&Ls that look real fantastic. But then at the end, oh, and if you would like to see more, please send $1,400 a year to da-da-da. Free SPX options trading live stream. Love it. I'm going to start by going into the title. That's brilliant.
Work. Work.
Good morning, Justin. How are you doing today? Good to have you back. Sounds like my puppy's being bad again. So it looks kind of like this morning we're just trading in a range, consolidating. I just bought 2 contracts right here, call contracts, at 11:05. Came up through this overnight high and then pushed right back down. So I hope that's not going to be a roadblock that this can't go through, but we will see. It followed my 2 parameters for my strategy, which is number 1, a awesome oscillator that is below 0 and green. The next one, that there was a green candle. So when I get those 2 things, that's when I buy. And it's so simple. It's easy to replicate. It's simple. And the best part about it is it's free. Okay, it looks like it's trying to go right above the VWAP again. The volume weighted average price. The puts just look like a mess. I did an early put contract because it met my parameters and ended up losing about $480, I think. So now I have set my limit at 1,020. And right now I'm just carefully watching the active trader tab, this tab right here. And the things I'm looking for are I'm looking to see if the price will go above what I paid it at, which is $17.50, so it's now at 18. And I'm just focused right now on that, on looking at that gray bar, because that's where the money is. And you can see on the right hand side now I've got $80, okay, $200, trying to get more people to come to my channel. And so Jason Scott recommended that I say free SPX options trading live stream. So I took that advice and I've changed that, and I'm hoping to get more people to come to my channel, because what I'm offering is something that is free of charge. Took me 4 years to finally get it how I want it. And that's how long I've been trading options. I've been trading stocks of some kind for well over probably like about 25 years now, I guess. But off and on, because I was a teacher for 24 years. And so that didn't leave me much time at all to trade, because first of all, if I didn't have a break at 9:30 in the morning, then I just had to look at it when I got home, see how it did. So Sean Dekmar of Dekmar Trades, he's the one that first made me aware of options, and he has an option boot camp that is wonderful. And he's a good teacher. He goes through and he describes things very well and easy to understand. And I've seen a lot of his videos, and they're free. You just go in and look him up and do it. But he's got a stream that if you pay $79 a month, he will actually bring up tickers and take a look, and people can ask him to look at tickers, and he gives his opinions and everything like that. But mine is totally free. I just don't have the time to keep up with managing getting money from people. Plus, I don't think it's right. I want people to benefit from my knowledge and not have to pay an arm and a leg to do that. And the thing I love about this trading system is it's so simple. It is so easy. The Heikin-Ashi candles make it visually very pleasing to look at. The Awesome Oscillator gives really good signals on momentum. Right now we've crossed zero. Yeah, we've gone above zero. And when the AO crosses zero, that's significant. The first green bar is significant, and then crossing zero is significant. So we're just waiting right now. We've got, let's see, I've got 460, 540. It has now gone past the previous candle. I've gotten a lot of wonderful suggestions from people on my stream. Just all kinds of good stuff. I'm not very technical in my speech when I talk about things. I just say it like it is. I don't really use a lot of extensive financial jargon and all that kind of thing because I just don't want to. I don't know that, and so I'm trying to appeal also to the overall person that comes on YouTube, and the fact that they might not have, that knowledge base. And so I want to reach more people, and I think I can do that by just talking in plain language. Okay, right now we are at $860. And let me get something ready here. I really think this is going places. I'm not going to say that too loud though. $22.60 is the goal. When we hit $22.60, we will have $1,020. I do it a little bit above $1,000 because I want to take into consideration things like fees and commissions and all that kind of stuff. So I do it a little bit above the 1,000. The fact that this has gone through the overnight low, plowed through it like that, that's a good sign. These are very bullish candles we have here. They're flat bottom, and the wicks aren't that terribly long. Our next candle that we get, the 5-minute, is going to be in less than a minute. Usually when a new candle happens, that gives us another piece of information for what we need to do. While we're waiting, I went into ChatGPT because everybody's been doing these caricatures of themselves. And this is the one. Let me bring it over so I can see my price over here. Okay, we've gone down here, but we're popping back up. I play the base. This is not the color of my base. My base is like a natural wood here, and then it's a natural neck, whereas this is a rosewood neck. It shows me I have 3 screens, so it's got 3 screens there, and I use my phone a lot of times to look at things. The one thing I don't understand is I've got a stethoscope around my neck, and I have not been in the healthcare field, and that I know of. So I have no idea why there's a stethoscope around my neck. Maybe the Hawaiian shirt that I was wearing looked like a scrub shirt or something. I don't know. But anyway. I love AI. I get such a big kick out of watching these animals do funny things. Now it looks like, just looking at this chart, that we have a high here, higher low, higher high. Maybe this is going to go into another higher low, and then we're going to have another higher high. So that's kind of how that trend is looking. Let's see. Excuse me. All right, if we look at Trading View, these bands here, these are Bollinger Bands, and they have tightened. And usually when they tighten, that's indicative of either a move down or a move above. Excuse me. So we, in Trading View, there was a buy signal. And we're just looking to see where this is going to go. This is the part in trading that's so hard, is the waiting. And that's where patience comes in. But also another important word is faith. Faith in knowing that the system that you have produces results. Knowing that it is a product of many years of putting it together. And those are years that I did. I'm offering it to you to lessen the time that you have to find something, because it's right here. But once I buy, that's the moment I shift into having faith that it's going to happen. And this comes from, gosh, many, at least all 4 of those years, there was lots of back testing going on, because options was new to me. So I wanted to test it and test different indicators and different time frames. And so once you have all that back testing done, then you have this sense of faith that it will carry forth just like it has done so many times before. Okay, getting ready to have a new candle come up. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. New candle. I love to see this. A candle that doesn't have any wicks. It's very powerful. It's also, the real body is above the previous real body. And when I talk about real body, I'm talking about the shaded part of the candlestick. So this one looks very good. We're just trying to get above this 21.90. If it hits 22, that would be fantastic. So basically, we want to make our money before the lifespan is exhausted. This is the trading lifespan right here. And so before we get a red bar, we want to have hit our mark, hit our goal. $21.40. And so I'm looking at a couple of things. I'm looking right here at the gray bar, and I'm also looking to see the price next to it. So right now it's $7.60. We've got an ask that's at $21.90. Oh, it's pushed ahead. Yes. Yes. Just made $1,020. And take a look. This is what $1,000 looks like. That's 1,000. Yay! Let me try that again. Yay! All right. Wonderful. Okay, now I have right now $560. If I was to press buy, this would be at the top. We don't ever want to press buy at the top. No matter how much you want to, you have to keep from doing that. I think the only time that I would really, do anything next would be if we got past this high of the day, which is 26.50. I'm going to put it on 26.55. Right click, create alert, 26, 55. Because if it does go past the high of the day, that's very bullish. I always love the red Ferrari that Tom Selleck rode in on Magnum PI. I thought that was a cool car. And so I went into AI and said, well, show me driving a red Ferrari. And here's what it came up with. Short and sweet. But notice this. Notice that right there. Let me back it up just a little bit. This is my living room right here. Or it was my living room. I don't live there anymore. But that was like going from in my living room. Look at this. And being invisible. Going through the car. Grabbing the steering wheel, and off she goes, right out of the living room. So I'm still playing around with the AI, and yep, thank you, Carol Drew. Yep, my system worked again. And I'm keeping track of it. I use TradeZella to keep track of all of my trades. And the only thing is, like, this is what I found, is I've had to go in and do an update sync every time before I use it in order to get all of the current information from my broker, because it's tied in with Charles Schwab. And the calls, it's continued to go up. And I probably could have gotten in and made a little bit more money, but I'm playing it on safe, and I'm using my strategy, and I'm not deviating from it. And since doing that, I have really done so much better. But I anticipate there to be a red bar pretty soon over here with the awesome because the lifespan of the trade is coming to an end for now. But if it does go above that 2650, it's gonna be like an off to the races kind of thing. It will have pushed through that resistance. Okay, and just looking at, let me look at the month of February. Okay. Let me look at since the beginning of the year, 2026. My strategy has had a trade win percentage of 70.59%. And the average win-loss rate, or average win/loss trade is 0.50. Look at that. That's going to go above. but then it's either going to continue to go up or just fall flat. So now I totally understand FOMO. I would really like to make my goal of 1,000 today, but I'm only going to do that if I'm sure that it's going to head upward. This is the trend one. Well, this is still kind of fresh. Okay, the high here is 1345. I'm going to say if it goes 1350, I'm going to buy 3. I just placed what's known as a buy limit order. And the buy limit says that if it gets to a certain price, it will buy it. Because chances are, if it breaks through that high, it's going to continue to go. And I just want to get about $500 more. So right now it's retreating, it's going back. So far since the beginning of the year, I have $3,662.02. And I don't mind sharing that at all. Okay, that's since the beginning of the year. The volume is dropped down. Most of the time when that happens, things kind of stall out. It's like a car. The volume is like gas, and the stock car needs that gas. And the volume here is just trailing off. Let me look in Trading View. Well, it says 21 million. That's in that's the S&P SPX. We do right now have it riding the Bollinger Bands up. Remember I said when it tightened, it's going to either go up or it's going to go down. And it's going up. And so just waiting for it to go past that high that's there. We do have green and AO. Okay. Okay, we got that doji. Dojis usually signify indecision and that there's going to be a possible change in the trend. So the way to know where the trend is going is the next candle. So we have that in about 3 minutes. The volume average, and this is using a 50-day period, is well below the average. And it's red. So anytime you see the volume below what the average is, not a good time to enter. I want to see that volume go past the average. So my eyes are looking at several things right now. I'm looking to see when the next candle, or not next candle, excuse me, next bar will appear in AO. I'm of course looking at volume. I'm also looking up here to see what type of candle it is that we have. And I'm looking at the gray bar. That's telling me where the price is. And then the bid and ask are the green and red bars. And you really don't need level 2 with this active trader, because it tells you how many bids and ask. It gives you the bid and ask size as well as the price. So it's very easy on the eyes to look at and to watch and see where the price goes. I've looked at level 2 in Thinkorswim, and it's hard to really read it because the colors are so similar. So I really prefer looking at the active trader tab instead of level 2. Okay, we've come in now with a new candle. And if this candle goes below the overnight high, it's probably going to continue to go low. And it's doing that right now, almost. It's teetering back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this buy limit and just watch and see where this goes. Now it looks like it's going down, but the trend says it's in an uptrend. So that's confusing a little bit. Okay, we got the spinning top going on over there on calls. I'm just still playing around with that trend indicator label. Try to have it be green if it's in an uptrend instead of red. Let's see now. Take these down. Okay, calls, we just got a new candle. It's got a flat bottom. Let's see. Change here. Okay, well that's not working. Let's start all over again. Got a long-legged doji on calls. Seems I messed up the trend indicator label. I'm going to have to go and get it again. Oh, unless I go in like this. Let's see. Ah, it's still red. Okay. Trend indicator label. Right now I am going into ThinkScript. I'm determined to get this done because it'd be so nice. Okay, I got it back to where it was. Now I just have to figure out how to change a label color. Let's see. G46. I did a right click just now, create alert. I'm putting 1346 because 1345 is the high. I want to know when it goes past that. Because then I might jump in again. While we're waiting, we can watch a little video. Let me pause the music.
Salt may not be for you if you love data entry, but if you're ready to quote faster, we're here.
Enjoy 24-hour access at most Planet Fitness clubs. $1 down, $15 a month. Deal ends February 27th.
In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can very easily create your own set of labels inside of Thinkorswim. Now, the way I've laid out this tutorial is really two different parts. We'll start off with the easy set of labels first, which I've called the static labels, and then we'll move on to the dynamic labels. The whole idea here is to learn by actually doing, so I have 6 different examples which really increase in terms of difficulty as we progress through this tutorial, but I think if you follow along, you should have a good grasp of labels, at least a good working knowledge to then create your own set of labels for whatever you're looking at. Now for our static labels, we're going to create 3 sets there, 3 different examples, and this should honestly take us less than 5 minutes. Now when I say static, static really implies that we're plotting just indicator values. We're not performing any calculations ourselves inside of the code. All we're doing is trying to output a value that we already have just as a label instead of as an indicator.
Your perfect domain is out there. Go to Wix and make it yours.
Now there's 3 different examples that I'll go through here. They're all just 3 different indicators that are inside of Thinkorswim. One is going to be how do you plot the exponential moving average as a static value in a label. Next we'll move on to volume, and then finally we'll move on to the Chaikin money flow. Whole idea here is again just how do you reference different indicators and then how do you plot those indicators values. This should again take us right around 5 minutes or so, maybe even less. It's very straightforward. Now the second piece of this is where I think things get a bit more interesting, which are the dynamic labels. Now inside of the dynamic labels, we're looking to plot the results of actual variables, Boolean variables, or calculations that we've created inside of the code, and we're now looking to output those values. So the first step here is to actually perform those calculations and then plug that into the label. Now here I have 3 different examples, and they really scale in terms of easiest to hardest. The easiest one is stacked moving averages. We've done this plenty of times before, but hopefully this gives you a very just concrete example of how to do that. We'll use the 8, the 21, and the 34 and try and determine are they stacked or not stacked. This is very similar to what we use in our squeeze tools. We've made a moving average crossover video. Should be very straightforward and even familiar for those of you that have been watching these tutorials. Now the second one I think is one that gets a little bit more interesting, which is a count of how many times a particular thing has happened. Now in our case, the X variable that I'm going to use is the simple breakout tool. Everyone should have access to it. It's a free indicator we've built, and we're going to count how many times has, say, a bullish simple breakout tool signaled ourselves to us on a particular time frame chart, and that's going to be the value we plot inside of the labels. Now the third one, which is not necessarily tricky, but I think it's more useful, is how do you change the label output based off of the user input. Good examples of these, if you were looking to try and have moving averages that were user customizable, so you as the user could input, instead of the 8, maybe you were looking at the 10. Well, that's then going to feed in not only to the calculations, but also feed into the actual output where the label says, hey, the 10 EMA is this certain value. That's example one of how you would use this particular concept. Another example might be something like earnings, where maybe you're looking at 7 days to earnings instead of 8 days to earnings. Whatever difference it is, you'd like to then show that to the user in your indicator that, hey, this is now measuring 7 days to earnings instead of 8, and that's where the whole label output comes into play. All right, let's get started with writing some labels first. The easy ones that we're going to start with are the static labels, and then we'll move on to the dynamic ones. Let's hop into Thinkorswim and open our ThinkScript editor.
Wow, Allie, you're obsessed with Olive Garden's tender braised beef tortelloni. And we're obsessed with your 5-paragraph petition demanding its return. Fan favorites are back for a limited time, starting at $12.99. But unlike that petition, it won't go on forever.
Salt may not be for you if you love data entry, but if you're ready to quote faster, we're here.
Now let's get started with writing some code. I'll first create our study, so click the studies icon. Inside of the studies icon, we'll click create. And before we write some code, let's review the add label function. Now to do so, if you don't already see this right-hand pane, click reference in the top right-hand corner, open up the functions tab, and then inside of the functions tab, find where it says look and feel, open that up, and inside of look and feel, you'll find the add label function. Now the add label function takes 3 different parameters. The first parameter is the Boolean variable that determines, do you want this label to show yes or no, and when would you like this variable to show? So if you wrote yes, this would always plot. If you wrote no, this would never plot. And if you wrote some other Boolean variable as your in between, which is, hey, only show this label whenever X, Y, and Z conditions are true, then that label would only plot whenever those conditions are true. So that's where that variable comes into play. The second parameter is the text you'd like to plot. This can be either regular text like exponential moving average spelled out. This could also be a variable such as the actual EMA values. This could also be a dynamic condition, which is, hey, the 8 EMA value is equal to this and the 16 is equal to this. So you can do a lot there. And then the third parameter is very similar to the text one as well, where it can be both static and dynamic, but this is now around the color. And this is the background color of the label. Now you'll see some examples of this as we go through the 6 different ones that we have today, and hopefully that should help make more sense of how these 3 different parameters come into play. So I'll go ahead and collapse that, and now inside of this, let's write TI labels tutorial as the name of our study, and I can start by first defining our first moving average, which is the label we'll create. So we'll say def EMA 8 is equal to exponential average close 8. This is just a standard way of defining an EMA. And now you'll see the one error that comes in, which is at least one plot should be defined. An add label is considered to be a plot variable, so that will meet this error condition. So here we can say add label. The first parameter, which is the Boolean variable, we can write yes, since we'd like this label to always plot right now. We can then take this EMA 8 value and plug it in as our second parameter, which is what we'd like to see outputted. And then the final parameter is the color, which we can just say color.yellow as an example. Now if I click OK and we click apply, you'll see the price in the left-hand corner of what the EMA 8 value is. Let's actually go ahead and add an 8 EMA to our charts here. So I'll say 8 EMA, apply, and there you'll see the EMA value is 152.56. The label is showing you 152.5586, a bit more granular, rounded up to 152.56. So there you have it. That's the first label that you've created, which outputs the 8-period exponential moving average. Now the second one that we said we'd like to see is volume. So you can imagine how you could go about doing this. You would just change the 8 EMA right here to instead be volume. Now instead of defining it as a separate function, you could simply just type out volume here, click apply, and the first time you do that, it will automatically default go into the volume channel right here. If you move it right back up into the price, click OK. There we can now see the volume inside of Apple as well. 140,893,240 shares. If I come into the trade tab here, let's see if that number's lining up. 140,893,240. That's exactly what we see on our chart. So that's lining up as well. So now you've learned how you can plot an EMA value along with a volume value. Now let's move on to the third example, which is referencing the Chaikin money flow instead of our volume. So before we reference that, if we type in Chaikin money flow, let's go ahead and add this to our charts here. And if we double click it, you'll see that there's two different plots inside of this. Now the plot value is really what most of the times I think you'll find that you care about. So in this case, the CMF, the Chaikin money flow, is the actual value that we care about that we'd like to see inside of our variable, not the overall indicator, which has two different plots. So we'll specify that, hey, the CMF is what we care about inside of the Chaikin money flow indicator. Now to do that, if we open back the code inside of our labels tutorial, I can remove volume right here. Let's type out Chaikin money flow. Now, since we're referencing another built-in study, we need to add in our two parentheses here, which tells Thinkorswim that this is another study that we're referencing. And then, specifically, the plot inside that we'd like to reference, which we can call out by putting a period and then writing CMF, since that's the plot we care about. Now, as soon as we do that and I click Apply, the label changes. The label is now 0.0075. And if we also add in our Chaikin money flow right here, you'll see that's exactly what the output is as well of the money flow line, the blue line, 0.00747, and this has been rounded to 0.0075. So those are the three static examples that we're going to talk about in today's video. What you should have gathered from this before we move on to the dynamic, the add label function takes three different parameters, 1, 2, 3. First parameter is when would you like this variable plotted? Second parameter is what would you like plotted? And the third variable is what color would you like the background to be? Now you can also define functions inside of this middle parameter, or you can define them outside as either a def or a plot variable and then plug that in into this middle parameter. So those are the static labels. Now let's move on to a bit more of the challenging, the more interesting type of labels, which are the dynamic ones. Now for our dynamic labels, I'll start with a clean slate here, and the first dynamic label that we'd like to make is for our stacked moving averages. So to do so, we first need to define the EMAs that we care to measure if they're stacked or not, then create a Boolean variable which actually tells us, yes, these are stacked bullishly, or B, they're stacked bearishly, and then we can plug that into the actual label function. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So let's start with first defining, again, the 8-period exponential moving average. You should be used to this by now, at least from the first part. So we can say def EMA 8 exponential average using the close price and a length of 8. Now we can copy paste this 2 more times. And in this case, we're just using the example of 8, 21, and 34 for stacked. But if you'd like to add more or less, you can change that or even change the lengths. So now we have our 3 EMAs created. Now we need our next set of variables, which tell us if they're stacked bullishly or if they're stacked bearishly. So let's start with the bullish one first. We'll say def bullish stacked. We can say EMA 8 is greater than EMA 21, and EMA 21 is greater than EMA 34. So if this condition is true, then this code right here will return a 1, which indicates that we're stacked bullishly, and if it's not true, then it'll return a 0. Now similarly, if we copy paste this one more time, but this time for our bearish side, we change bullish stacked to a bearish stacked. We can change EMA 8 and all these signs to be less than, and that now gives us our bearish stacked. Now we need to define our plot variable, which is going to be our add label. So let's go ahead and do that. We can say add label. Now the first part of this condition, again, the parameter is when do we want this label to show. We'll continue sticking with yes, since we'd always like to see if this is true or not. Now the second piece of this is going to be a bit different from what we've done before. If we're stacked bullishly, we want the text bullish to appear on our label. And conversely, if we're stacked bearishly, we want the bearish label. So to do that, we can use an if-then statement. So we can say if bullish stacked, then we'd like to write the text bullish. Else, if bearish stacked, then we'd like to write the text bearish. Else, we can just say an A. So that's our second parameter. Now for our third parameter, we could start with doing something very simple like just writing color.yellow, but I think it would be a lot more interesting if the color changed based off of if we were bullish or bearish. So first, if we just test out if this is working, bullish or bearish, this is off of the SPY. Click apply. We see bullish right here, and this is inside of the yellow label. Now let's give this some color logic as well. Very similar to what we had right here, we can actually copy the second parameter code and paste that into the third parameter. And everywhere where we have text, we can replace that with the color that we'd like to see. And this is again for the background color. So if we have stacked bullish averages, then we'll say make the label green. If we have bearish stacked moving averages, then we can say make the label red. And if we have none of the above, we can say keep the label as yellow. All right, perfect. Click apply. Perfect. So this is our first dynamic label that we're going to create. The concepts that this should help drive home is that you can include if-then statements inside of the text. You can include that inside of the colors, and it's usually preferable to define your Boolean variables outside of the label and then plug them in inside. So that's the first label, which is around bullish and bearish stacked moving averages. If we test this out just real quick on a bearish stock, so let's use AT&T, we see the label plotting red and the text bearish. So we know this is working the way we would expect. Now, if I come back into our code here, let's continue moving on. The next variable, or the next label, excuse me, that we said we would create, our second dynamic label, is around a counter variable. Now, for this experiment, we're going to use the simple breakout tool. This is a free indicator that we made quite some time ago. If you don't have it, I'll link it in the description box as well. Completely free to download, and you will need the code if you're following along. Now, inside of this simple breakout tool, I'll click the scroll icon to open up the code. And we need to copy all of the code that at least tells us bullish and bearish signals. We don't necessarily care about the painting strategies right down here below or the line weight, so we can skip those. So I'll copy paste all of this code, bring it back inside of our labels tutorial, and we can paste that right down here at the bottom. Now, just to keep things a bit clean and systematic, I'm going to comment out all of the code up above so it doesn't show two labels. You can also just erase everything if you are following along as well. So now let's go ahead and comment this out, and comment this out. Now what we have as of right now is only our simple breakout tool code right here, and this is plotting bullish and bearish. Now we don't want this to actually plot. The plot is going to be inside of the label, so we can change these variables to a def. And now what we need to do is create a new variable, which is going to keep count of how many times bullish has occurred on this particular chart, and the same thing with bearish. Now what we're going to do here is use the total sum function, which goes back the entire length of the chart that we can see, or that Thinkorswim can currently see. So as of right now, just as an example, if I click OK, we should see an error. That's OK. This is currently going back 5 years. So it'll count how many simple breakout tool signals have we had over the past 5 years. If you wanted to expand that, simply change the time frame up here and you can expand the search.
Okay, so it's getting a little bit more advanced than I wanted to do, but I just wanted to see if I could figure out how to change the color of a label. So I'm still kind of working on that. I'll be back in just a moment. 560, but I'd like to get a little more. Stinker! Look at you! Hello, Orlando. I am not presently in a position. I took a put trade this morning, 2 puts, and then 2 puts and I lost about 500, and took a call position, and I'm up 560 right now. And what I'm trying to figure out right now is there is a new indicator that I saw. It is called the trend indicator label. And what I'm trying to figure out how to do is when it says uptrend, have it be the color green. Right now, both of the uptrend and the downtrend are both red. So I'm trying to make the uptrend green. Okay, just got a buy signal on calls. It went from green though to red. I don't want to buy anything when the awesome oscillator is above 0. So I'm just sitting tight, waiting for it to drop down like it did here. Waiting for it to come and drop down again. So sometimes that takes time. The puts, let me move this over so you can see that. I can't see too well. The awesome oscillator, let's just call it AO. The AO right here was very messy. Lot of indecision there. So when you have indecision, you just want to sit on your hands and not do anything. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, Jack. Got my puppy here. Come here, Jack. Come here, baby. Come here, sweetheart. Sugar. Yeah. Good boy. Okay, we're getting kind of close to the high of the day. If we go past that, we might take a little trade and get in there in and out real quick. I've got $560 today, but I'd really like to make my goal, which is 1,000 every day. This one I'm probably going to scalp. Come on, come here, baby. I want to point out right now what I'm doing. I'm trying to find a trend indicator with label where I can change the colors so that they're not both red. This is where I ended up. This is, I did a Copilot search and it found ThinkScript. That's the place where Thinkorswim, you can get a lot of good indicators. And I've copied the code here on trend indicator with label. This is a little bit different than the one that I was using, so I want to see how different it is. I come over to here and I put the name trend indicator with label. You have to do underscores. Oh, it just bought. Okay. Let's save this real quick. And that's in red, so that means it doesn't work. Okay, this is headed up. I would like to get about 500 more. So let's do sell. I just placed a sell limit order to have it go off at 15.10 and I get $510. So let's see that happen. We just passed our high of the day. So it's a break in the high, I guess is what we'd call it. Okay, next candle, the real body is above the previous. It's a good sign. Just kind of waiting and watching right now. We're trying to get above this 1490 here, because that's the high. Okay, we're retreating back. Let's keep your eye on the gray bar right here. That's the price. This is the price that I bought the 3 contracts, $13.40. Just a reminder, each contract is worth 100 shares in option land. Volume has come down a little bit. That's why everything's moving so slowly. I've just placed an alert to tell me when it goes past this high of the day. going to go ahead and end the stream right now. Things are just moving real slow. It's around lunchtime. So I'm going to go ahead and close out. So see everybody back tomorrow, hopefully.